the general principles
Right.
here. We're both against redistribution of wealth.
Yes.
So is Medicaid redistribution of wealth?
I think to a certain degree, yes, it is.
So would you be against Medicaid?
I would be more for putting a program like Medicaid in the hands of the states, not make it a federal matching program.
But you would still be in favor of the government redistributing, the stateside government redistributing money from one group of citizens to give to others? Wouldn't have the same pernicious effects you were talking about before of dependency of the people?
I think you need to reform the eligibility for Medicaid. I think we should be a caring society for the indigent. Some people who are born mentally retarded don't have the resources to take care of themselves. I think as responsible
they're good
citizens,
candidates for charity.
Yes, we need to get charity more involved, but I also think that you can't abandon people who, by no fault of their own, if they're mentally retarded, if things happen to them. I think that's a discussion worth having, and reforms need to be made to Medicaid. I also think, frankly, we need to be talking about Medicare. And going to
There's
the private way.
There's some redistribution of wealth there too.
So why don't we do subsidies, let people take charge of their own money, put aside their own money for Medicare, just like Social Security.
Mm-hmm. So
these are all programs created by the Great Society, right?
Right.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Right. The war against poverty that never eradicated
food
poverty.
Stamps,
Right.
Welfare.
So what about foreign aid, where they tax American citizens and they give the money to foreigners?
I don't know why we're giving Egypt $1 billion. I don't know why we're going to write a blank check to Ukraine for $1 billion.
Okay, so that's a redistribution of wealth that you wouldn't go for.
All of it.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm not saying I'm not going to go for it.
You would go for it? You would have some foreign aid?
It depends. Okay, well, if we're going to cut off all foreign aid, then I guess we're not going to give to Israel either. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't give to anyone.
Okay,
Why do we have to give money to countries in order? Can't they be our friends if we don't give them money?
I agree. However, we need to refine all that. I like the libertarian point of view. It's like, let's take care of our own needs first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's reevaluate all these. I mean, $1 billion, we're going to give Ukraine $1 billion. We're not giving Detroit $1 billion.
I interviewed Lars Larson over here in the radio row, and he thinks that if we don't give Egypt money, that we're not safe.
No, Egypt doesn't help us.
Egypt doesn't do anything for us.
The Palestinians don't help
Nobody
us.
We help ourselves. We don't need anybody to help us.
We're like the world's piggy bank, but yet we're not even the world's
And
comp
so
anymore.
why do we have to give foreign aid to these countries?
I agree.
And if they don't want to be our friends, then they're not our friends.
No. Why aren't we? I think some of that money, I'd like the $1 billion that President Obama and Kerry have asked Congress to give to Ukraine. I'd like that applied to reducing our debt and deficit.
Absolutely. I mean, that's their problem. Let them get out of it.
Well, here's what I want to know. What is our strategic interest in the Ukraine? Can anybody articulate that? What is it?
It's their own country and their own problem.
You know what it is?
There is no strategic interest.
Because
Absolutely.
Obama has allowed America to fall off the world stage. So their strategic interest is saving face with Russia.
Well, let's talk about foreign policy in a second.
Let Russia take Ukraine. I could care less. I really don't care.
So let me ask you, are you against farm subsidies?
Yes.
Okay.
And they didn't do anything to reform the farm bill. That's just another guaranteed loan.
That was another redistribution of wealth to, in this case, wealthy people.
What did you say?
This is another instance of redistribution of wealth to wealthy people.
Yeah.
And all the other corporate subsidies.
Here's the thing. What's so funny about the farm subsidy is, America has decided, just because you're a food producer, which foods matter more. So, okay, if you do soybeans, corn, you get a subsidy. Oh, farmers are getting rich. They make like what? They can get a loan, qualify for a $120,000 loan like that. They can say, oh, I lost my crop this year. Nobody's bailing Crystal Wright out. Nobody's bailing you out.
Okay, Crystal, so far we're almost in agreement with everything except that apparently you are in favor of some redistribution of wealth, like in the case of Medicaid.
I didn't say that. I said it warrants a discussion. Paul Ryan did a masterful job during the election, before he was picked as VP. He wanted to reform all the entitlement programs, which are exploding our debt and deficit. I'm all about this. So give me a lump sum. Give me an amount of money on Medicare. And you remember he wanted, I think it was like $6,000.
He wanted to send the money, the federal money to the states.
He said for Medicare, give each individual their money and allow them, here's $6,000, you go out and shop for a plan, and then you manage your own health care costs, right?
But that's money that they tax from productive citizens,
I get it,
and
but
they
but I'm
transfer
paying
in order
into
to
it.
give
Remember,
free
you
goods
and
and
I
services.
are paying into it. So
Are
what
you
I would
talking
like
about
to
Medicare or Medicaid?
see, Medicare. I'm talking about Medicare right now.
I thought you were talking about
no,
Medicaid.
Medicaid, you're right.
is a direct transfer
Social program
from
for
people
poor.
that are
You're exactly
working and
right.
producing to
Right.
people that
What
are
I'm
getting
saying
free
is,
medical services.
I think that I'm willing to have a conversation about how we help the indigent, and I'm not so sure. There was a time before the Great Society that charities did all this work and
Right.
private sector.
And
I'm fine with
Americans
that.
are
But
great.
I don't know if we're ever going to be able to repeal Medicaid and abolish it, if you will.
Why not?
Medicare,
I
I think we tackle these entitlement programs one at a time. Let's deal with Medicare. Paul Ryan had good ideas. Why can't, if I'm going to pay into Medicare, what I would like when I turn 65 or have to become dependent on, utilize Medicare, let me take that money out that I've paid into it and let that be mine, just like Social Security. Remember when Bush talked about privatizing Social Security, and then there's been other talks of it? What's wrong with, why can't my Social Security that I pay in each month or whatever should not go to your Social Security?
Absolutely.
If I work harder and I pay more in taxes.
What happened to the
Social Security-
lockbox?
The lockbox is a joke. You know that. There's nothing in the lockbox. You know what's in there? An IOU. I owe you $1 gazillion.
Let me ask you this.